The invisible man. Oh, the invisible man.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to The Invisible
Hello.
Man. We are actually having some minor technical difficulties, so bear with us. And there it is, Ryan. How you doing?
Hey, I'm moving right on.
He is moving, so this is great. This is good stuff.
Yeah, no, we're glad everyone's come here. If you tuned in earlier this week when we did our Two Guys Fixing the World, we encountered similar problems, and I got stuck on the screen with a very, very interesting expression on my face.
Okay,
but hopefully that doesn't happen now.
Okay, so
but I am pleased to
the formal introduction first. The formal introductions, Ryan.
Yeah, I was going for that, man. All right, so the handsome young man who buzzed his hair down to the COVID, what did you call it? The COVID crop is Mark David Stallard. He uses his middle name even though he doesn't have to.
And his other chap here, equally young, as Ryan Janz, his middle name is also David, but he doesn't use it even though he should. And we are It's All in the Mind. It's all down to, and it's all down to lag. Yes, it's all down to lag.
It's only been a year.
And of course, our co-host, the inimitable Colorado Phil. How are you doing, Phil?
Doing pretty good. How's everybody else doing?
Oh, yes. Apart from the usual pre-show stresses, I am doing well.
I'm doing so much better than the last time we all tried to do this. I had bow last time, and it was probably for the best that I did. I was pretty burnt out that week, but had some downtime, some refresh time. Mark and I had a great show on Wednesday with two guys,
Thursday.
And now ready to give her. And very excited about today's guest. Mark, why don't you go ahead and introduce our themed guest today?
So, Trista Shay actually hails from the harsh Canadian prairies and uses music to marry dreams and song. A pianist all her life. She started songwriting in 2016 and hasn't looked back. Trista is currently working on her first public release. She has played at Trout Forest Music Festival, the I Am Festival, Mom and Days Winnipeg, and several house concerts and other venues around the province. So, without further ado, Trista Shay, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks.
There
Thanks
we
for
go.
having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So actually, because I'm sure the number of the audience, I'm not sure who you are. Do you want to maybe say a little bit about yourself, a little by way of introduction?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, aside from what you just said, I grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan, and that kind of beginning and way of growing up has kind of really influenced my music. So, I played piano, and in 2016, I've been singing since I was like, I don't know, 3 years old or something like that. So in 2016, I decided to start songwriting, and so I started writing songs about nature and life, and I'm a deep thinker, and just everything that goes on in my head. So
Great.
Yeah, that's pretty much me.
Yeah, sounds good. So, what is your musical background? Were you surrounded by music, or was it something that you kind of did on your own in isolation?
My parents are like, I don't even know where I get music from. This is my cat tweak. Don't even know where I get music from because they're not musical at all. But I grew up, I just started taking piano lessons, and then I just progressed and I progressed and I progressed. And I got to a point where I didn't know if I would start like becoming like a concert pianist, like a very classical, very like traditional form of music, and that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So when I started songwriting, I just kind of blended both of them, and I've just kind of always done it on my own, and collaborated a little bit with like some other musicians and stuff, which has been a lot of fun. But music has been kind of something that's just a constant in my life.
Right. So your musical we say you weren't your family's not really that musical, but were they listening to a lot of music? Was that just
Yeah, I grew up on country music, which is not what
Ooh,
I even.
I like country music.
I would sing a lot of country music. I remember like playing out the Shania Twain cassette tape and just like plugging in like a mic and just like singing and like front to back. I wanted to be Shania Twain. Now, now I want to be Trista Shay, but I wouldn't say I'm country now. But I grew up in country.
Yeah, there's actually
I have a question because I was obviously listening to some of your music to prepare for the show, and I actually, I never know what to expect, right? Sometimes you can tell by a promotional or just by looking at a website. I was listening to one song. It's the one that I shared to promote the show. I think it has a song about a woodpecker.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yes. I sure. Behave, Phil.
Early, okay.
Let's keep the audience before we drive them away. Let us, let her get a song out before we scare everyone away. Immediately, it conjured images, and the tone and the quality of your voice in that particular recording just made me think of Feist. How much of Feist's work, her albums, are an influence in your experience there?
Feist has definitely been a Canadian artist that I've admired and looked up to. Just like I've really admired her ability to have that folky popness, and she has this. She has a quality that I definitely try to pull into my music, like the soft qualities and the upbeat, and I think that Feist has really like pushed forward music in Canada. I wouldn't say that as I'm working towards like an EP and kind of my first like major public release. I wouldn't say that she's my only influence. I also look to UK artists like Lucy Rose and people that have started to blend these genres together. You don't really see it in my solo stuff, and that's something that I'm exploring. But like the sound of kind of like this expansive sound, but this kind of like sense of calm as well, which I think you may have felt kind of in If Only, which was my first song I ever wrote.
Really? That was the first one?
Wow. That was the first song. Yeah.
There you go. My first song that I recorded was about I wouldn't say it was a bad date, but I wrote it about a girl who I was dating before I met my wife, and we picked a line out of the conversation. We kind of laughed about it, and then she said, he said, "That's a great line. You should use that sometime." And I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll write it in a song, only if I can mention you by name." And we went on and had a second date, and I finally finished the song, and then I never got a third date after she heard it.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's kind of it fit well with the conversation that we were having, but it was kind of a mean song.
I'm gonna stop laughing.
Yep. So that one was it was called Practicing Pretentiousness, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it was a great love song.
In fact, we'll start a Facebook poll. Should we promo Ryan's first attempt at recording?
It wasn't a bad song. It wasn't a bad song at all.
No, technically it was a good song. Like from a technical standpoint and songwriting, I've never really been a strong lyricist, which I think is what I really appreciated about listening to your music, or particularly that one. It's If Only, right? Is the name of the song?
Yeah, it's called If Only. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was sort of a storytelling quality, but a real cerebral sort of a cerebral quality. It wasn't more just about telling that story, which a lot of folk songs do. There was like it was very metaphorical, and not in that sense of like the rock equals this, and sometimes a cake is only a cake, and Freud level cerebral, but like a deeper thought.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I worked on those lyrics for a long time. There was like the chorus is adapted by an author who wrote, Louis Sachar is his name. He wrote the book Holes, and if you've seen the movie Holes, and when I was, on this journey of writing my first song, for some reason, this poem from this book just like stuck in my head. And it was, if only the woodpecker sighed, the bark on the tree was as soft as the sky, as the wolf waits below, hungry and lonely, crying to the moon, if only, if only. And I was like, what does this mean? And so it took me a long time to really, create this, my own meaning, and then put it into a song. And it's still one of my most popular songs. And I mean, it's my only release that I have out there, the demo. But yeah, it definitely has a special place.
Nice. Well, it's absolutely brilliant. I loved it. I listened to all the stuff that was sort of on your Bandcamp area there, but that's the one that I actually paid for and used it as a promo in promoting our show today. And Mark, I've frozen.
That's you. That must be your connection.
That's my bad.
Not me this time.
Connection there. Okay, no problem. Okay, good.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
So what kind of topics do you usually write about, Trista?
I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And
yay!
It's
best place ever.
But it's funny because I've lived here now for about 2 years, just over. And before I moved here, I was like, I'm going to live on the West Coast or near the ocean because I absolutely love the ocean. And so I find a lot of times, if I'm playing a show or something, I write a lot of songs about like nature and the ocean and kind of the metaphor of like an ocean and like the tides and everything like that. And so I find like kind of like a hippie-ish kind of thing. I really draw upon nature, but I'm also a deep thinker. So I write about maybe like situations or stories of my real life or ones that I've just completely made up too, just like put some emotion into it and make it mean something. Yeah.
Now, when you write those kind of fictional kind of stories, do you write that from the first person? Or are you kind of looking at it as a he, she did, or it's an I kind of approach?
Both, actually.
Okay. Well,
There's both. Like, sometimes for example, I wrote a song kind of towards the last of the fall because I did grow up on a farm in Saskatchewan, and I was used to a lot of space and a lot of just like, animals around and then I moved to Winnipeg, and I know that Winnipeg isn't a big city by any means, and it's not the biggest city in the world, but it was bigger than I was used to. And I felt like, all of a sudden you see more people and you see more, poverty, and you see more addiction. And in a way, I almost felt like I was hardened by that. And so there's a song I wrote kind of in the fall of last year, from like another person's perspective in the I form. And sometimes it'll be completely third person. It kind of depends on the angle I think I want to take.
Now, I find as a writer, the third person is easy to write prose about, but very difficult to write songs about, from my point of view. Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to be I and emotional than he or she, and it's just a little bit more difficult. For me, that's one of my limitations. Well, one of the many, I'm sure.
Yeah. Always learning, I think,
Yeah. Now, are there any topics that you find difficult to deal with in a song, or that you try to avoid?
I mean, I have a lot of difficulty with sometimes like a simplicity, because I have this brain that just kind of like, it's like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I would say that I'm a dreamer, like through and through. So, my boyfriend, for example, he comes home and I'm like, I was thinking about like moving to Costa Rica. What do you think about that? And so in my music, if I don't have a clear idea of what I want to say, what kind of emotion I want to convey, what point I want to come across, then I can't do it. So I've a hard time sometimes keeping it simple. And some songwriters are just so good at, writing a song that, on the surface is so, very simple, like, but just is really great. I think Micah Ehrenberg, if you're familiar with his stuff, he does this so well, and I find it so difficult, which I could probably learn a lesson or two from him about.
Yeah, we had Black Eyed Susie on the show a few weeks ago, a Winnipeg band. Christine, who does who writes the songs, and she does that with her lyrics. They're just, you look at them and they look like super in-depth prose, and there's like almost no repetition. There's a rhyme, and I go, how do you do this? It's just amazing how someone can just put so much into one relatively short work of art. Anyway, some people can do that. Not me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and you know what? I tease. I say I haven't done a whole lot of lyrical writing. I've done some, and we famously have joked about my attempts to write. Mark said, "Hey, we were writing a song," and I usually come up with like a riff or a verse or something like that, and musically, right? And then Mark has been outstanding in being able to create story or create lyrics around it. And he said, "Hey, Ryan, why don't you try and write a verse?" And I was like, no, I'm not a songwriter. Yeah. No, go ahead, try it. And so I went and I wrote a verse, and then he's like, no, we don't have to do that. So
should have just told them you're a bass player.
Well, I do feel bad. I wasn't trying to stifle your creativity. Just that once. Please try again.
And you know what? It hasn't. I have tried on occasion to pick up the pen and be a little bit more cerebral, and just try and do something that I haven't done before. But it's a lot easier, especially when we were kind of playing more regularly. It was just a lot easier to, Mark, you're really good at that, and you're the one who has to sing it. So why don't you just do that?
Mark, you're the one that does all the work, so you should do all the work. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, let's do a quick shout out to the audience. I've got a couple of people here. Pauline Santoro, so thanks, Pauline, for joining us.
Pauline!
She's with us most, if not every show. And Kimberly Nastland. So Kimberly and Scott Nastland of Seventh Freedom are watching. So thanks, Kimberly and Scott.
Right on. I also have a couple people joining us. Jeremy Penner, a good friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, and I would say our number one fan of the show, Catherine McGuee. Hey, I got it right this time.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, sure. I'm not going to try with the accent. You've already made fun of my attempt at UK accents.
Hey, I have.
But Catherine is joining us, so we're glad. Catherine has been has joined us almost every episode, I would say, or pretty close to every episode. And of course, my lovely and wonderful wife, Jessica Reeve, has joined us.
Oh, and Ian Cameron, a horn player for Load, and I'm sure does a lot of works for other bands as well. So hi, Ian, thanks for joining us.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump in right now and say, I was just looking in my software, and I do have one song from Seventh Freedom. I want more. And if there's other independent music artists that are listening or whatever, email me your music in MP3 format, lpdupuis12345@gmail.com.
Okay, and we'll stick that in the show notes.
The call's out there. Colorado Phil will.
Yep. And we'll get that out there. We'll get that information on the Invisible Man website as well. I don't have that specifically on that at the moment, but later today, so go check theinvisibleman.ca. I think now is actually a good time. Maybe Krista, if you feel up to it. Krista, I'm getting crazy. If you feel up...
mispronouncing is not just my problem. There we go.
I get that all the time. If you can create a little thing for me to say that people get my name right, that would be amazing.
Okay, I got to ask you something. Yeah. My name is Ryan. I get called Brian all the time. In fact, I've gotten called Brian so frequently that I just respond to it because I figure there's worse things that people could be calling me than Brian. Of course, you just added a B to my name, so not a big deal. It's Trista. Have people called you Trisha and it just kind of rolls off your back like that, or is that like a big deal still?
Oh no. I mean, I don't care. I honestly don't care. I mean, As a musician, I do want people to get my, like, you know, to be like, you know, you can find me later at Trista with a T, Shay. But people always call me like, you know, like I think I say it really clearly if I was like meeting somebody and I would say, hi, my name is Trista. And they'll be like, oh, hi, Trisha, or hi, Krista, or hi, Tristan. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time. And even like if I like send somebody an email, I'll be like, hi, Trisha. And like my name will be in there. But it honestly, it doesn't really matter to me. I'll correct somebody if we're going to be like spending an evening together, or like I'll be seeing them again, you know, I'll be like, you know, just by the way, because I don't want them to like, you know, a week to go by there and then they're like, oh, I've been calling this girl the wrong name for, you know, forever.
Okay, I've been mispronouncing Catherine's name for like a year now, but she keeps coming back, so it can't be that bad.
And if it's any consolation, my family living here in Canada, none of them can pronounce any of my names correctly. None of them.
Nobody ever mispronounces my name.
The Poiesis? The
Let's not go down that route.
Anyhow, enough of making fun of me not missing a name. Trista, would you like to sing a song for us now?
Yeah, I'd love to. This is a song I wrote in the fall of last year, as a friend of mine was going through a kind of a hard time. And yeah, it's called Fighting. Hold on to the day and stay as long as you can. My little son is gone again. I'm losing hope with every falling tear. I'm lost again. Just please stay near me. they are strong. I'm fighting for a song, even if I won't be. I'm fighting for freedom, for the first of them all. I fight for the passage back to who I was before. I fight for the innocent so they know that they are strong. I fight for a star, even if I won't be here long.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Bravo. Bravo. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we've been, you may have noticed, things have been a little bit different around these parts these last few months. Venues shut down, people aren't hanging out with other people. How's that affecting you as a musician?
You know, it's been a little hard. I mean, in the one sense, I am looking forward to, I'm kind of I like to sit in my room and write, and, so like that time I find is really, really great. It's nice to have that space to be able to do that, but it's been hard because all the things that you looked forward to, and the excitement and the festivals and live music and everything have, like, it's just sad. I think it was 2 weekends ago now. I actually I just moved, but on the last weekend I was just living in a house, and I decided to do like a little concert on my deck. Mm-hmm. And that was so nice. I didn't realize how much I'm going to, and I hope maybe I can do that again. But it's so nice to be able to, music is as much for me as I want it to be for other people. And so to be able to share it is, what music is about. And so it's great that there's places like this, that you can share your music. But like that real live music, that real connection is hard. And I think it's something that I'm missing for sure. And I think a lot of people are too.
Yeah, for me, it was I was planning a show a while back, and a couple of weeks ago, with Carla Bonnell. Unfortunately, things didn't work out. Some personal things were going on in the background. We had to postpone. But while I was rehearsing, I'm setting up, just testing how the audio is, and I felt fine. But then I listened back, and I was like, well, I'm not putting the same energy of this I can hear in some of my live shows that I've recorded. So I think it really makes a massive difference that you don't have that live audience there at all in the performance. And that, for me, it drives so much more of the energy.
Yeah, the first Insta I did, my first kind of social distancing concert was on Instagram, and it was just me and my phone, and I was you really draw from the people, and I love to sing, and that's why I'm a musician, and I love to play music. But it's an exchange, like there's no like way around it, it's an exchange, so it's hard. Yeah,
it really is. I think that I was in England last year, playing for the first time it was a packed pub, listening to the folk jazz stuff they do, which is kind of odd because everyone looks with their hippie, their biker hair and whatever. And they were into it, and I think that I've only got the audio recorded. The video didn't work, but you can hear it. It's just the best. I think one of the best performances I've ever done, and it just happened to be my mum was there as well, which really made it better. Anyhow,
now it's trapped in time.
Well, at least in audio. Yeah, I had a problem with the live stream. It kept getting choppy, but anyway.
Well, I seem to recall something similar on our CD release, Mark, when we did our big release. And the show, we played to a packed out venue, and it was just a great energy. And By the time we got around to the third set, normally you'd be tired, but it was like, man, I could go all night. Just, people coming in and out all night long, and that venue had its own complications, but just the whole energy that came off the people that were there supporting us was something phenomenal. And we've been doing. I'm gonna be coy here and say, hey, we've been doing these social distance concerts for over a year now. So we've been doing it since before it was cool, but it's not the same when you don't have people interacting back, when you don't have people looking at you. We try every once in a while to include, comments from the live stream and questions, but it's by far not the same. It's not the same as having people there cheering you on.
Oh, for sure. And while we're talking about,
go ahead.
I was saying, while we're talking about the people watching the live stream, Sabrina Fenner says, "Love your music, Trista." Here you go.
Oh,
And Fanny I'm going to try and get this right. Fanny Maldonado gives you 2 thumbs up. Okay.
thanks, Fanny.
Anyhow, sorry, Ryan, I interrupted you there.
No, that's okay. That's fine. In fact, while you were performing, we were obviously gave you center stage there. My wife came up to sort of the makeshift studio I had there, and she had a really good, interesting sort of line of questions. So first of all, we want to know where in Saskatchewan did you grow up? Where were you close to? I've made it known on more than one occasion that my favorite city in probably all of Canada, but for sure all of Saskatchewan is Saskatoon. It's absolutely beautiful. Is that where you're in around the area that you're hailing from, or where are you originally kind of from in small towns?
Unfortunately, not Saskatoon. Although, I grew up, my farm was like 15 minutes outside Regina. And so Regina was kind of the city. But I went to elementary school in a little town called Grand Coulee. It had like 300 people in it, no services, nothing. There's like 15 people in my grade. But Saskatoon, in my opinion, Saskatoon wins of the 2 cities.
Just for a second. Just for a second. Just for a second. I thought you were going to say Dog River. and I've actually been there.
Well,
I've been there too.
Corner
I went to Rolu, and
they keep that set up, don't they, year round? Or
yeah, there was. Yeah, I went there a few years back, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
Rolu.
is that where you're from? Are you from Corner Gas?
No, from a different place.
Oh, Phil got changed. Nice to see you covered up, Phil.
I know, right?
I like your shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a great shirt, Phil. Do you want to just show it off there?
There you go. The Invisible Man. Hey, I'm the only one in uniform today.
Well, Mark's got one. That one didn't fit me because well before COVID, I had packed on enough pounds.
Sorry? What was that?
Then, oh, you schmuck. I'm going to go get a marker and write it on my chest now.
Well, I have to stretch this one out every time I wear it. So.
Yeah, no one can see below that. I'm in the same boat. No one can see from below here anyway.
All right, so I will go to the merch page, which Mark can supply for us, and you can buy our T-shirt, and I will buy a T-shirt so I'm not left.
Buy a black one and pretend that you're Colorado Phil. How fucking cool is that?
I'd have to shave though, Phil.
Hey, look,
there maybe
it's coming back.
Atta boy. So, anyways,
what you mean, atta boy? I'm a man.
Yeah, but you're French, but you're French, right?
For after the show over a beer. So, anyways, we'll get back to Trista because this is a show about promoting Trista today. Trista, what brought you from small town Saskatchewan over to the River City, to Winnipeg here?
The big city. My boyfriend brought me here. Yeah, he was born and raised Winnipeg boy. And but you know what, I grew up near Regina. I know Regina super well, and I didn't love it. Like I So I thought Winnipeg would just be like Regina, and I think people in the prairies have this idea, and I know Winnipeg and Regina kind of butt heads, like go Riders.
Did you say that? Oh my god, I was just thinking that. That was my question. Oh.
Everyone from Winnipeg watching now, they're like, ugh. I have to stay strong though, you know, for my Rough Riders. So.
Oh man.
No, am I right in saying that those are sports teams?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
In quotation marks.
Manchester.
The Rough Riders play football.
Yeah. If it doesn't have
that's
Fs.
like saying, what is it, Manchester and Arsenal? The two, or are those the two rival soccer teams?
No, there are lots of rival. And I don't know what you mean. Football.
Football.
Which CFL team is undefeated, defending Grey Cup champions? Who?
Are you trying to make Trista say it?
West Bromwich Albion.
Poor woman's never going to come back on the show.
Undefeated.
We're only undefeated because nobody can play right now.
Not true. Not
okay. Now we're talking about records. The FA Cup, the big football association competition in the UK, was held. The cup was held the longest by Portsmouth City Football Club, Portsmouth, and the Second World War had nothing to do with it.
Oh,
they were just that
right?
good. They were that good, and they lost the original FA Cup. Anyhow, back to Trista. Yeah.
And nothing. Yes. World War II had nothing to do with that. They did not melt it down to make ammunition.
I keep derailing the interview, so I'll let you guys go back to the interviewing. Trista. Oh, Trista, yes.
Yeah. Well, we can't take you anywhere, Phil.
Cut it out.
Okay. All right. Ryan, you have some more questions? Oh, he's lost it.
No, not at this moment. I don't. He called Phil foul, and I just my mind went to so many terrible places.
So you have met Phil.
Well, you guys wait till I'm up there.
Around that. Okay.
I think Ryan is stressed out too much.
No, once again, I've embarrassed myself. We'll pretend to be professionals again. So,
for a little while.
We're bass players, eh?
That's. I've lost my spot on my notes. I can't even find it. I switched screens. I can't even find my notes. Oh Lord!
Do you need a break? I thought maybe this would be a good break, actually, to get Tristina or whatever to play another song. I mean, Trista to play another song.
Trisha, you have another song for us, I hear.
Yeah, sure.
There's 3 guys who can't pronounce my name properly.
I only made a mess once. The last time was purely intentional.
Listener discretion is advised.
I'm kidding here. I'm kidding. Yeah, sure. I thought about playing If Only, but if you want to listen to it, just go on Spotify and search Trista Shay, or go to my Instagram or my website, tristashay.com or Trista Shay Music, and you'll be able to find it that way. But I'm going to play a song. We were talking earlier about songs that really have no bearing in anything that I've experienced. It's just kind of a random story. This is one of them. And it's called Man on Abbott Road. He lives there on Abbott Road. He's got a name, but no one knows. The kids laugh and say, beware. he doesn't hear or doesn't care. But at night he steps outside and he walks into the pale moonlight, and he thinks about the people he sees, and he thinks that once was me, and he sings hallelujah, this life is grand. I'm 4 years old and I still stand. In my mind, I am 24. Everyone takes from life, but it's given me more. But they laugh and tell stories of him. But one day that will be done. And when they laugh at their future selves, it takes the life from them and no one else. But he sits and watches these moments go by, wondering what it'd be like to die. And he's not afraid for night to come. He gives thanks when each day is done. But at night he steps outside and he walks into the pale moonlight, and he thinks about the people he sees, and he thinks that once was me, and he thinks hallelujah, this life is grand. 94 years old and I still stand. In my mind, I am 25. No one knows my name, but I feel alive. Oh, oh, but at night he steps outside and he walks there for the last time. He grants peace to the people there. May they all live in God's sweet care. He sings hallelujah, this life was grand. 94 years old and I leave this land. My name is Carol, if you care.
Awesome. Nice.
Hey,
Very good. Very good.
thank you.
So tell us a little bit about that song, Abbott Road. Is that an actual place?
No, it's
No?
not actually. You know, sometimes I write songs that I feel are completely, separate from myself, this complete separate, reality, environment, situation, whatever, people I don't know. And it's only like later or like years down the road that I'm like, I look back and see like maybe what I was doing or what was happening in my life at that time. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that this song was like a mirror of something. And so this, like, I know no man named Harold. I know no Attic Road. It's just a song I wrote, and but yeah, I like it.
Well, that's good.
Nothing worse than an artist that doesn't like the song they're singing.
Yeah.
They come off
Well,
bitter.
Yeah. Well, not all songs. I think artists are their own critics as well. Like you can write a song and you think it's really resonates with you, and then later you're like, I don't know. That happens to me sometimes, but yeah.
How come I see Mark talking, but he's...
Mark, we can't hear you.
Oh, hello. Yep, I had my mic
There we
muted.
go.
There we go.
I do that on my radio show sometimes. I forgot to put my microphone on, and I yap. Then I look and fuck.
Oops, no retakes, no redos.
That's right. That's right.
So I say I have a kind of a similar area when I'll write a new song, but I'll next day I think that's great. I'll look at the lyrics I've written down, and then I can't remember the melody. I just take that as I don't think if it wasn't memorable enough for me to remember the next day, it probably wasn't very good at all. Anyhow.
Yeah, I always record everything, on my phone, or if I have an idea, it's all on my phone. Like I have voice messages galore, and any like little, like text or a phrase, and I'm like, ooh, I like that. That's all on my phone.
Yeah.
And I come back to them sometimes.
Yeah.
Because like I think there's good things in some things, Yeah.
I had someone tweet at me once. I was one summer I was just saying how I'm enjoying myself. We're on the deck. It's nice and sunny. Spending time with my wife, and just being a little too gooey. And then someone replied, "I hope someday I have a love like yours." I'm like, I'm writing a song about that, and I did. And we song we do regularly. Anyhow, yeah, it's amazing where the inspirations come from. It's just a phrase that just kind of caught my attention.
Totally, yeah.
Practicing pretentiousness.
Yes. So, who has a new set of Uggs to wear?
Jenna.
Jenna,
and I don't think
okay,
she's
Jenna has a
watching,
new.
so I don't mind saying her name.
See, it's a good lyric because I remembered it, and we're not laughing at it. We're laughing with the situation. It was actually a decent song. I do threaten.
Yeah.
I keep threatening that we'll do that one, but we haven't got around to it yet. It is a good song.
Well, when we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, we've always got that one.
I think I had in mind of getting you to sing it and me play bass.
You have heard it, right?
Yeah,
You've heard the song. Yeah,
yeah, and I can play that. And I can play that bass line.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about whether you can play it. I'm worried about whether I can sing it. We'd have to transpose it and do all sorts of stuff and to it. I don't think I can sing in that key anymore. I don't think I could sing in that key to begin with. But those were the four chords.
Well, it wasn't too bad.
So,
let's get this up there. Okay, so for anybody that's interested in getting a hold of Trista, that's Trista with a T. Trista with a T. You can email info@tristashay.com. Tristashay.com as well. Lots of information on her website. And Facebook and Instagram at Trista Shay Music. So you'll find her there. And as we all have. Yeah, I mean, there we go. I think you have a YouTube channel as well, I think.
Yeah, I do. I have a hard time keeping up with it sometimes.
Yes,
I do.
I did discover this morning. I don't have the link. I didn't have the link with me in time. Anyhow, so actually, if you just search on Facebook for Trista Shay, you will find her, which is how I found it. Anyhow,
Yep.
Change that back. Okay, so we've been going for about an hour. I think Ryan does have some extra questions, but maybe we can save those for your second visit to the Invisible Man, if you're interested.
Oh, Trista's coming back?
That's the invites. Anyhow, you don't have to say no on air, though. So we should.
Hey, but you guys, I wanted to ask a question.
Oh, okay.
Are you aware of? Are you involved in somehow? I read a cool news story on the Colorado Phil Show yesterday about the West End Cultural Center.
Okay. I know it's just
And
down the
what
road,
they're
yeah.
doing, they're putting on a series of live shows, just video, and they're proposing to charge $2 a head for people to watch these. I don't know how would you call them? Socially distant concerts.
Great.
Cool.
You hadn't heard about that?
So those tickets going to be accessing it online or actually going in there?
I think it's to watch it online. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Because they're not
And
making any money.
they had a slew of bands mentioned in the article that I actually reached out to for their music, but yeah, and you guys hadn't heard of that.
No, I hadn't heard of that one, no.
Oh, well, that's cool. I finally came up with something you guys didn't know.
Well, pretty much everything we do, I think we're the creative types. We're locked in our basements with our instruments and creating stuff.
Yeah.
It's up to you to promote us
Right.
and to know that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I got out of that one. I turned that
Anything
back.
else going on, or like this was just, I think that was yesterday actually that I saw that.
No, lots of stuff online. I noticed actually that our good friend Scott Young is doing a musical series called Winnipeg Studio. So Scott Young, for those of you who don't know, is best known as a drummer for Urban Street Funk. He's also drummed with It's All in the Mind a few times. But yeah, they have a live show. They do it. I forget the venue. Brain's gone. Anyhow, so they're actually not recording anymore until it's safe. Once they're out of quarantine. But yeah, they're looking for people and building up their contact list so they can start recording.
Cool.
Yeah, so yeah, lots of,
something I've noticed out here that's happening. They're calling them pop-up music venues.
okay.
They put up a big screen on a big building or whatever. The last one I read about, they had the cars parked like 10 feet apart, so people can actually open the tailgate, have a little bit of a, I don't know, cool experience, I guess, and they listen to the entire show through an FM transmitter.
Okay, so kind of like driving.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Interesting. Let's all get together and figure out how we're going to do that.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Yeah.
For
Anyhow,
sure.
So I think that's probably good for this show. We've been going for an hour, and we can definitely.
It's gonna start coming. And Trista, we're very happy to have you. Wonderful performance, wonderful music, and just been a great to have you on the show. You're welcome to come back anytime you want.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I really had a lot of fun.
And if you want to just hang around after the show, Trista, we'll just going to say thanks afterwards as well. So thank you again for joining us, Trista. Thanks, the great Colorado Phil, for joining us and their input, and of course Ryan Janz and me, Mark David Stallard. This has been actually probably a really fun edition of The Invisible Man. So thank you very much once again, Trista, and we'll catch you all next week. Thanks a lot.
Hey,
Bye.
and if people who are watching this live right now, or they're watching it in replay, go ahead and share this episode of The Invisible Man Show. That helps us out a lot.
I always forget to do that. Thanks, Phil. Always forget to do that. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.
Oh,